Which is more catchy? Which one? Is it the I signed DPA on 322 and then Trump, I liquidated the USA 8 years later with DPA on 322, or Epstein lives in a Pedo-Submarine, right? Do I need to go on? It's around. Thank you, Rashaka 13. Rashaka's already grabbing the 13. This is like his day. Rashaka, what a name. Rashaka 13 wins. It's just called around. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. You want a free copy of Dr. Almon Hill's book? See me after the show. So this is obvious, right? Like, which one's going to win? Which one's going to win, right? And this is story of my life. Story of my life. I feel, not to say this again, but seriously, this is not a happenstance thing. I entered the military with a secret rating thinking I was going to help my country. I served during war. I was like hardcore, like, I'm going to protect the Constitution. I'm going to protect the Constitution. Hey, what are you doing over there with that Constitution? What are you doing over there? And that was me. That's been me for more of my life has been that than has it been that. And you'll catch me. I'm still like, hey guys, look what happened to Mississippi. And everybody's just like, yeah, James, First Amendment is gone. We get it. You're concerned, James. Oh boy. James thinks there's a right to immediacy. Oh, I am feeling so we all live in a Pedo-Submarine. You see, think about it, a Pedo-Submarine. And you're like, oh my God, let's go there. What is going on in the Pedo-Submarine? And you're like, hey, it's got billionaires. And you're like, what did you just say? It's got billionaires. It's got Bill Gates doing something wrong. No, what? Stop the Pedo-Submarine. What did you just say? Where we are going, Bill Gates is doing something wrong. Oh my God. What else is there? We have whores. We have skullfuckery. We have secret societies. We have underground, satanic, cannibal dining rooms. And we got a submarine. We got fucking all, man. We even have a penis that's shaped like an apple. We all live in a Pedo-Submarine. Meanwhile, James is over here. Hey, did you guys hear about DPA? Did you guys hear about DPA? And I try, right? About DPA. You guys are like, James, you were trying really hard. I mean, if anyone's trying, it's you. You know that. I got 3 tweets on my Mississippi story. And this is why. And whenever I get into politics, I'm instantly just rip my wings off. Why don't you? Just rip them off. I don't need them because it hurts to have them. It really does. It really does. And this is that story. This is showing you how easy it is. Let me ask you something. If the American government was taken over by terrorists, what would it look like? Like what exactly would that actually look like? Do you think that it would be like a Golden Dawn, Wolverines? Do you think that? Do you think it would be like this giant, menacing anti-gravity ship that floats over the Capitol? And that when it comes over the Capitol, it puts down some kind of tractor ray beam kind of a thing, right? And it's sort of like, for whatever reason, takes all the clothes off of just the women, which is kind of something that happens. And then the guys are like, their faces are melted. I mean, this is typically how we would picture the end of our government. And it would be dramatic, and it'd be on TV. And all of us would be watching the news because the news is not connected to the government. That's a completely independent agency, right? So we'd all be watching the news going, oh my God, this government's ended. And it'd be like 9/11. We'd be running around. Everyone would know, I remember where I was. What if it doesn't happen that way? What if that's the last possible way it could happen? Like, what if you could control the downfall? What if you've heard the people say this country sucks for a long time in the sense of just what we do? The petrodollar is disgusting, my friends. Seriously. It's freaking disgusting. Not only is it disgusting, but when an anonymous potlatch agency offers an open source, self-encrypted, you are your own bank, you are in charge of your own money, that the very people that were complaining about the petrodollar refused to pull it out of their mouth, refused to stop sucking on that teat, like the very ones. And so what would this world look like if it shut down? Because it wouldn't look like what Hollywood tells you. It wouldn't look like that at all. It would be very different. It would look like this. Just another day. Just another day on the desk of the village burner. This village burner. The very building of Kono Takarius. In a room with no angles. It would look like that. And it has, and it does. And the entire purpose of media is to create a place where you can put things in the invisible. This is the entire purpose of having media. You have something or find something or create something, it doesn't matter, salacious. You aim a cone of visibility at that salacious part, and everything outside the cone of visible salaciousness becomes invisible. Instantly becomes invisible. And that this is this is probably the most effective weapon there is against modern man, is this. And it's deployed every day. And every day it works. It literally does work every single day. And I won't beat you through the head with it, but I've had other streams where showing you that the POTUS seal dropped for 7 days. And the last of those days was March 22nd. And that's an auspicious day. And it's only an auspicious day for certain people who could see it. And if you were looking for footprints, it'd be easy to see, which means that people who wanted to leave footprints would just do it. And if they could leave footprints, they're telling you something about themselves. They're saying they're not afraid. They have zero fear about being seen. None. And to me, this is a tell. This doesn't make me afraid. This makes me have more information. And I've been using this information for a while. And I've noticed how true they are, because when I come back to try and tell other people about it, I see why they leave their footprints. They leave their footprints because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In fact, me seeing it, I see a conscious intent here. It gives me hope, which is kind of twisted, I know. But I'm twisted. That's what happens. And because I'm twisted, I see things. And just like Trump on March 22nd in the year 2020, this is the last day with no POTUS seal, that on the same day, March 22nd, 2012, put into the Federal Register was the Presidential Defense Act. And that this act is pretty bad. And this act had the exact same kind of exposure. It had this trick. It had this trick too. That's called DPA. Now you know what DPA is. Defense Protection Act. I think it's protection. Let me make sure. This one says National Defense Resources Preparedness Executive Order. But it's for the Defense Production Act, Defense Production Act. And the DPA is the Defense Production Act. And what I'm telling you is that is that Barack Obama signed the DPA on 3/22, and that the last day that the USA was officially sold and closed was on 3/22, and Trump used the DPA to do that. And that to me is a tell. And that tell is not nearly as powerful. Even though this ended the entire United States of America, it still wasn't as big as "We all live in a Pedo-Submarine." That the Pedo-Submarine still got more hits. And it got more hits because 322, those guys know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And that the best way to really look at what politicians are, it's just Hollywood in the fourth wall. These actors are good. They're reality stars, and they're playing that role the whole time. March 22nd, 2020. This is already in another stuff, so I'm not going to show you this, but just to prove, if some of you are just seeing this, I just want you to see. This is the last press conference where the seal was gone. And basically the country is now under FEMA control. And when I say now, it could be much earlier. But that I think that it's very possible that this is exactly what it looks like. That we've known the country had to go down for a while. We've known how screwed up it is. People are like, audit the Fed, audit the Fed. And everyone's like, well, yeah, as soon as we audit the Fed, then we can't do this anymore. We can't. And these people are so far ahead of you that they already thought that. They thought that before you started to say, hey, I think the country's fucked. They already had that. Bernie Madoff, this is a long time ago. And the shifting out of these things has happened a long time ago, but the deck chairs just give everyone else this sense of, oh, everything's fine. And it feels good to think everything's fine, so we do. It ends up being very profitable for us. But what did happen, what I missed, because I was watching the Yellow Submarine too, I was too. What I missed was this. This is a lobbying for a fifth arm of government called public health. And that these are all the votes that finally came on board that had to be negotiated in order to pass this new fifth arm of government being put into place. And it's the Department of Public Health, or Public Safety, you could call it. And every local government has this tandem already there. It's already in the state constitution. It's in the government constitution. It's already there. And every time you saw somebody either get the vaccine or come down with COVID, if you're Republican, you would come down with COVID. If you're a Democrat, you would get the vaccine. And there's a little bit of difference in between. And whether or not you either got the vaccine or you came down with COVID was you publicly coming on board saying, I am buying this. I support this fifth arm of the government. And this has been happening a while. This isn't just on COVID-19. This just happened to be the biggest. This is just shows you how large something can be and how we can still miss it. And when this happened, of course, it certainly got covered because it got covered as a anti-black racist issue against Obama. That when Obama signed that act on March 22nd, that it was dismissed as racist because so many other administrations had also signed it too. And so therefore, the fact that it did in fact call for all of these horrible things to happen was now moot in the public's eyes. That even though it declared martial law, even though it declared the seizing of private property, even though it nationalized the American industry itself, even though it was a minor update, even though it had all those things, it was still touted as, look, this is just a minor update from what Clinton did. And not only Clinton, that decades before that, all the other administrations agree. So if you disagree now, then it means you're just racist. And the entire time, the loomingness of it is right there, right? I told you about this last time, about how Predator doesn't move. If Predator doesn't move, this is how it works. Do you understand that if multiple administrations all made tiny changes to DPA, that this would be impossible for the public to disagree with because we just have to point to the last guy who's a different color than us. I don't just mean skin tone, like party-wise, and say, yeah, but the Republicans, they also updated this act 8 years ago because they added that the chairs should be white over here. And that therefore, for you to complain about your civil liberties now is clearly a racist agenda. And that it's just that simple. It's that simple. Do you know why it's that simple? Because it's not a yellow pedo-submarine. It's not that. It's administratively signing things over and over again through decades of predecessors where it's foot by foot by foot by foot, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And as long as each foot is a different color every now and then, there is zero agenda. Nothing possibly nefarious could be going on because that would be a conspiracy that I cannot afford to hold in my hand, says modern man. Predator never moves. Fauci with Reagan, Fauci with Bush, Fauci with Clinton, Fauci with Bush, Fauci with Obama, Fauci with Trump. Predator never moves. the Snopes story. You can't complain about this because the last president did it. Therefore, it has to be right. It has to be because of how different they are. And now you understand the entire purpose of Epstein. Epstein creates a magic cone of visible, and anyone who's begging for the truth is going to point it at the fucking yellow Pedo-Submarine because there's literally nowhere else to point it at. And while you're pointing it at that, DPA is happening in the background. What was happening during the 7 days that Trump shut down, the POTUS seal went down? Everyone was telling you to wear a mask. Everyone was telling you couldn't go to work. People were saying you couldn't go to church. They told you that you were running out of toilet paper. They told you that you had to social distance. They told you that the school was going to take your child and stick a needle subcutaneously in their arm and insert something inside of it with a blank insert. And you freaked out just like I did. You freaked out like everyone did. And the entire reason of that freak out was to allow something as subtle as a 8 administration long predator to simply take what they already signed was theirs a long time ago. And that's what happened. And if you want to know what Epstein did, he traded years and years in prison for an opportunity to help his fucking country. That's what happened. And when you start to unwind just how perfect of a piece of red meat Epstein is, I hope you'll feel as foolish as I do when you really start to go, wait a minute, I can't believe that I fell for this. Think about how much Musk is validating NASA right now. Think about how the fraud of Elon Musk placed inside a visible light is actually causing NASA to seem more legit. NASA has had a massive public opinion problem. And do you know what fixed that? It was Musk. It was Musk. And this is the same kind of layering, which is why I put it here. I'm not trying to get us lost on space. I'm trying to tell you to see that it's the same layering, guys. It's always the same fucking technique. It's always the same one. Place something salacious inside a visibility cone. Boom. You now have cover of night. They came by night. They came by night. This is how you come by night. This is how you do it. Welcome to James True. You guys are doing well. DPA really is a license to bribe or extort any industry during peacetime. That's what it is. And in 1970, it was included in the space activity. In 1980, DPA was placed to designate entire energy sectors. In 1992, accelerated production needs. In 2003, critical infrastructure fell into this. And finally, what this comes down to is, think about it, guys. This is what it comes down to. Through continued reauthorization, the DPA has been permitted to enhance provision of civil transportation, energy, food, health, industrial resources in the name of national defense. This means everything. This means every single industry domestically can be utilized, changed, manipulated, extorted, or bribed under war or under peace. Even under peacetime. That's what it fucking says. And even though I told you just how vorpal this is, it's a loaded fucking weapon. We all live in a Pedo-Submarine. It's not nearly as intoxicating as the fucking Pedo-Submarine. It's not. This will never, ever get that kind of attention. Thank you so much there, Turd Ferguson. And that is not a misspelling. Good to have you here. The Defense Production Act of 1950. Guys, they were planning this in 1950. And that's why I keep showing you this. The motto, service in peace and war, actually is peace and also war are just. Iroquois Confederacy had two chiefs, a red chief and a white chief. white chief would serve during peacetime, and then only when the shit goes down would the tribe mother promote the red chief and say, you're in charge. And that's really all we've done. FEMA is the red chief. And that we're going to be running things from the red chief. That's all. And we've been running things from the red chief since we declared a war on terrorism, since 2001. And we've been doing that because as long as we can instill a sense of national emergency and create it full time, we can create the fourth and fifth arms of government: public safety and clean energy. And there's going to be sold to you as rights. You have the right to public safety. This is what it's going to be. And what does the right look like? We're going to subcutaneously stab you in the arm because you got rights. And when they're sticking in your arm, it's going to be like, hey, look, you got rights, man. Now, I think this is a little salacious, what I'm telling you. And I want you to know that I think that you have a lot more power than what I'm giving you, but I think that the average person is not going to have that much power. And they are going to see that they really are under that kind of control, that kind of threat, and they're going to kind of get off on it. And so even though I've given you all the information that would have given them everything to flip out, they still chose Pedo-Submarine. They still chose Pedo-Submarine. And it shows you what America's up against. If you want to understand what the great work is, guys, the great work is this. The great work is, how do you fucking get people to care about themselves more? How do you get people to fucking read more than a headline? And the answer is, I don't know. It's tough, man. It's tough because to me, the truth really is you just have to be salacious, even in the truth, especially in the truth movement. No one gives a shit if it's going to take a while to explain. It's just not going to work. Executive Order 13603 is what Obama signed. But again, he was just dotting some I's in the same thing that was already there. All forms of energy, all forms of civil transportation, all usable water from all sources, all commodities and products that are capable of being utilized against America could therefore be protected. And they cleared it up by saying, look, this isn't like government's going to force a company, to make or do something. And yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. But it's even more nefarious because, we want to picture that someone's going to come in with a gun, that Obama's going to hold an AK-47 to the back of a factory worker's head and make them work. So we think, well, that's the worst case. No, that is not the worst case. If that happened, that would be fucking beautiful because that would last maybe 3 minutes. No, what I'm talking about is Donald Trump saying, hey, 3M, I will give you $6.9 trillion fucking dollars if all the people that own your company will go along with this. And 3M says yes. And that happened on 3/22. That happened on 3/22/2020 in the middle of the day. And all of us saw it. It happened for anyone to see. But guess what? It wasn't, we all live in a Pedo-Submarine. It was the day after Trump. This is the official signing the day after because it was on Sunday. But that press release was on 3/22 when he announced it. And I just want to point out that the account under it called the In the Matrix, that's an OAN account. They've got a lot of them. Julian's Rum is one. Jack Posobiec is one. There's a lot of them. I'm pretty sure that like 1 out of 10 accounts on Twitter is a bot. And that bot is, a lot of those bots are run out in Langley. If you wanted to, think about it, if you wanted to inject a message like QAnon, let's say, here you have an anonymous post on a 4chan board. World's never heard of any of these things. You know what it's like to post an anonymous post. We want to believe that the organic nature of the viral hit that off, but that took like one push of a button. That's called throttling. And if you owned a network like, say, Twitter, you would be able to throttle whatever you want. I've muted Elon Musk 3 times now on X.com. 3 times. And no matter how many times I did it, his tweets still show up. They finally don't show up now. I think I had to block him or something. But if you want to understand why Musk bought Twitter, there's a lot to it. First of all, the billions that he quote lost isn't lost. That's him having to pay off and conglomerate different people. You know who's in charge by who has to make an ass out of themselves and who doesn't. Peter Thiel, dude doesn't have to make an ass out of himself. He doesn't have to buy into Epstein. He doesn't have to say, I'm going to send a submarine to save children. He doesn't have to promise everyone's going to land on Mars. He's just like, I think we should do this. I think Bitcoin's going to fucking rock. I think America's fucked. I think the New World Order is coming. There's nothing we can fucking do about it. So I don't think free markets are real. These are the things that he's told you. And we're like, he's in on it. He's in on it. It's like, bitch, he better be in on it. You better hope he's fucking in on it. Because you know who's not in on it? The people that are getting thousands and thousands of hits selling you stories about pedo-submarines. Those people are not helping you. They are not helping you. They're selling you sugared corn at a bonfire. And you're like, wow, this is great. We got some sugared corn. Look at that. We all burn in a pedo-submarine. And I told you about Bannon, and it keeps getting deleted. The last one was The Elephant is Israel. This will probably get deleted too, but I'm going to still try it. I just like that I can see it. Steve Bannon brought Trump into the White House. Was summarily fired. 8 weeks later, released the first QAnon. QAnon is throttled online. All of a sudden it becomes a sensation because it was throttled. And now you have an insider scoop working for Trump that's outside the government. It's one of the most brilliant ops that I've ever seen. It's probably just because of where I am. There's probably been smarter ones, to be honest. I'm just saying, from my eyes, I was just like, fuck, this is good. This is so good. Because I've shown you how Trump was met in the White House within 4 weeks apart of like that one guy who talks like this, and he's all like, Q's real, and then Scott Adams on the other side, Q's fake, da da da, and that both those guys are in the White House within 3 weeks of each other. It really shows you how important it is to pull both sides. Remember I told you about Assange just the other day about this, how Assange has the Chelsea Manning figure, and you have the white male truther conservative side. You have both sides. And when you see an op like that, it becomes so much easier to spot. But unless it sings, yellow pedo-submarine, a pedo-submarine, it's not going to stick. You need that to make it stick. The federal state of New China is the latest thing that Bannon attempted. When he left the administration after Q died, he went over to Hong Kong and actually started this. Some of the most brilliant photos I've ever seen come out. Some of those brilliant images, and I need you to know that Steve Bannon is not working against China. He's not trying to overthrow China. He's helping China. He's giving China the media that they need to plan their own January 6th insurrection. It's not exactly the same because they have a different kind of control mechanism over there, but you're looking at the same thing. This is the New World Order coming together, and Steve Bannon is a lobbyist who's done an exceptional job of making himself indispensable and placing himself at the right place at the right time because he fucking knows how the world works. I'm going to show you this because I don't think you'll believe me if I don't. After Hong Kong, Steve Bannon is on a yacht in front of the Statue of Liberty, and he is with Miles Gould. I think this is Miles Gould, and he is the former Japanese emperor's son who's been in exile, and they are declaring a new world order, and the capital of that world order is in the Himalayas. They are using admiralty law to do this. They have a UN-esque flag behind them, and that you were watching Steve Bannon is trying as much as he can to be the biggest cuck he possibly can for the Zionists. And honestly, he's winning. This guy, this is what it looks like to be winning. That's actually me from 4 years ago. Hang on a second. Wait, I don't think you're going to hear that. Now you can hear it. This is me 3 years ago. I'm not kidding. Here he is. He goes back here. I got to find this. Here it is. He's reading his version.
I'm going to commemorate this moment with blood. I want to use blood.
Look at Steve Bannon's face.
Show the world our resolve. Today I find my fingers so open. You have to use blood to testify in front of everyone in the world that we will restore rule of law, freedom of religion, and justice to China.
You guys can hear that, right? I think you can. Why do they lock Bannon? We'll get to that, Brian. We'll get to that. That's I've read that constitution. It's the Himalayan High Constitution. It declares Himalaya as the capital of the world. It calls for peace and humanity. And I think it might even mention the Palace of Peace and Reconciliation. Don't quote me on that, but there's a full constitution, and it's got this guy's blood on it. And that Bannon was putting that out because he really wants, just like, see how these people know how to pace. And I think Trump's just better at this than Bannon. Bannon's the brains, but Trump really knows how to hold the field, like to hold that vibration. And so just like Trump will lead on the border, right? We need a wall bigger than all the wall. Bannon's doing the same thing. And really, he's signaling to everyone that follow me. I know where this goes. I know where this goes. And this is a treacherous game. It's as treacherous as Hollywood. And Brian asked a good question. Well, why did they lock him up? It's really important if you want to understand how this works. This is where we lose people to Pedo-Submarine, honestly. You cannot think of the CIA as a single-threaded organization. You cannot think of anyone in government as a bipartisan, or it is not bipartisan. This is narratives. It's more like traveling gypsy plays. And you have a play, and your play may be Audit the Fed. There's Ron Paul's play. Your play may be corruption at some factory, and that would be your play. And that if you build up enough people that want to buy tickets to that play, you're going to go to the big show. And when you go to the big show, you're going to take your play and you're going to compete with everyone else. And really, this is closer to how Washington works. Now, if you are cutthroat, as anyone in Hollywood would be, you're going to find that the most successful people there are sort of your enemies because they're stealing a commodity that you don't have, which is airtime. They're stealing witness. And so Steve Bannon is getting caught the same way that I told you how careful they were about the Julian Assange op. That, remember, the Bradley Manning did not release a classified document. It's in the news that way. But he actually didn't release a classified document. He fucking released a training manual that you can just go. You could walk out to Kinko's and print it. That's a copy store. There's nothing illegal about that. You can't go to jail for that. It's just hyped up in the media. What they're able to do with Bannon is that when he starts to flex himself, this is why I say Trump's better. Trump's a lion. This dude's a fucking wizard at this. Bannon's sloppy. He's like me. He's a little bit sloppier. He's not willing to put in the time with each individual's personality. He's more just like, here's a fucking sword, let's swing it. And he's sloppy. That's why Trump literally called him Sloppy Steve. This is why I think he did that. He's also ruthless, though. This is what it takes to win. He's doping for the New World Order is what he's doing. And he's well ahead. He's well ahead of the rest. So if you want to compete with his narrative, who was that, Brian? If you want to compete with his narrative, this is how you do it. Wait a minute. I'm so glad I found this slide because I don't think you guys would believe me. I've never been more sure in my life. And this is I took this picture. I swear to you, I know for a fact this happened. This is not a CGI. Let me rephrase. What I mean is that I didn't find this picture from someone else. I screen captured it myself. I couldn't fucking believe that this was happening. Steve wants to sign his own book. This is why exactly 1 year to the day, he's fired as White House Chief of Staff. Exactly 1 year. So on his anniversary. And he's pushed out with, oh, you suck. It's on purpose. Like it was there's no reason for Trump to shit on him as much as he did. It's part of this image. And he went on Live from Oracle, Arizona, Steve Bannon, White House strategist, is on a show, and he's giving this was MSNBC. I'm almost positive it was MSNBC. I'm sorry, it was CNBC. That's right. And he was on one of these trade shows about, finances and stuff. And, and if you look underneath him during the taglines, under his taglines, it has Invesco QQQ, Trust QQQ, and that is what's queued up under the headlines as he's talking. Additionally, other people have done this numerology. I never would have thought to this, but there's a 17Q and a 17Q. Everything is loaded with Q. And that the symbolism that I've always been talking about to you, it's in media. I've never meant it like, oh, it'd be cool if I just see this and I'm just like, yeah, this is how I would sign it. If I had a gypsy wagon that had a false narrative that I took on the road and I used it to garnish votes, I would want people to know that I know it's not real too. I would want to leave my signature to show just how creative or just how much influence I had at the time, just how many narratives I paint. And I think that Sloppy Steve has done just that. And the fact that Q wants you to wake up, there's something spiritual happening here. I know you probably hate to hear me say that. There's something spiritual happening here. I don't need to know who thought of it, or even if there's a good guy. It could all be purely just because maybe this guy drinks too much. But there's the irony of Q saving Israel for last is happening right now in real time. And I've already told you how that's going to happen, that you're watching Netanyahu have his own people revolt. You're watching Macron have his own people revolt. I've told you that I think Israel will lose what we call their homeland. And they will lose that in exchange for a one world government, a new world order. And that will come about through a intervention where people who don't like how Israel's acting, such as America, will finally say we need to put our foot down. And that the very land that Israel was spraying with feces water is not actually their homeland. Hey, go figure. That's not actually it. And that guess what? Do you know how many Jews there are in Israel? It's a little bit more than 6 million. It's a little bit more. And that you could look at the destiny of Israel. Is it real? Is this real? Is Israel's name Israel? Is this real? And that all of this would be utilized. The reason why when they started to think, wait, we think Jesus' home is actually further down the rock in the valley of David. It doesn't make sense that he would be way up here. And all of a sudden, all the religious leaders are saying, no, it's up here. It's in the mosque. And that there's always been this purposeful, like, oh, we're going to cut the red heifer's throat tonight. It's going to be, I almost cut it. And if you look at James Truzone, he told you tweets about the red heifer was brought out today during the day, but because the clouds were wrong, they didn't cut its throat. And everyone's aware of this anonymous post out of Israel. Everyone's aware because the people that control the narratives know how to talk to you. They're good at it. They know how to dangle things. Let's review Bannon, Breitbart, Pizzagate, Trump election, Hong Kong riots, Himalayan New World Order. Fucking Epstein didn't kill himself. He did every one. Every one. James, how do you know he did Epstein? Before 7 a.m. on August 8th, 2018, a reporter caught Steve Bannon entering Epstein's Upper East Side mansion. The following day, QAnon posts "Showtime!" and named the Clinton Foundation linked to human trafficking. Exactly 1 year later, to the day Epstein died. But James, how do you know that Steve Bannon and Epstein were working together besides that? It's like, okay, Steve Bannon filmed Jeffrey Epstein for 15 hours. His documentary never surfaced. Jeffrey Epstein took public relations advice from Steve Bannon before the predator was arrested on sex trafficking charges and died in jail, sources say. Steve Bannon took 15 hours of video of Jeffrey Epstein in the months before Epstein died in jail. He said it was for a documentary, a claim that does not stand up to scrutiny. I've shown you the Serta Mattress commercial where Trump is giving a thumbs up to 9/11. I've shown you that a lot of the Epstein photos point to an international blackmail economy, and I think there's certainly some truth to that, but I also think that there's a lot of salaciousness to that, and that's actually part of what you're being fed. The Pedo-Submarine, the Pedo-Submarine, the Pedo-Submarine. Which one's more exciting here? On the left is the Secretary of Interior Washington letter dated March 27th, 2020. It explains that the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 is being ignored and that the Secretary of Interior no longer has the authority to grant Native American treaties. And half of you are like, maybe not half of y'all, but no one's gonna. I cannot get enough attention to that. You know why? Because Epstein lives in a pedo-submarine. Guys, it has everything. This story has everything. James Drew told you that the norovirus, you guys might remember I told you this. I hate to be buffing my own nails, but yeah. Norovirus strikes the Republican National Convention, infects 13 California GOP staffers. This was in Ohio. And when it happened, I was like, there's something odd about that. It was odd because it was right before flu season. It was right before the election. And it was weird that it was 13 Republican staffers. I thought that was interesting. And then I forgot all about it. I wrote about it, but I forgot all about it. And then when Jerome Adams became Surgeon General under Trump, I noticed that he was the person in charge of the norovirus outbreak. That you have a politician or a bureaucrat that's assigned to an outbreak, and that it's their job during the outbreak to do something with that outbreak. You know, you would hope positive. And this is where Jerome Adams came on board. He actually came on board with this. Now, after he did this, he was appointed to Surgeon General under Trump, and I'm going to show you something, but I want you to realize that I didn't know this at the time. This is actually the New World Order. The norovirus is the early lobbying for this new Department of Public Health that I've been telling you about. The norovirus is the Republicans saying, I think we have something here. I think we can get behind that. And how we're going to get behind it, we're going to tell everyone that we have explosive diarrhea. That's what was released in the paper. This is why I was like, okay, this story has a little bit too much salaciousness to it. That's what I thought when I read it. Why? Because I've been doing this a while. I've been paid by the military to hunt underwater threats. I just learned to see what a threat is. It's not even that hard. It's never going to look like a pedo-submarine.
20th Surgeon General of the United States of America, Dr. Jerome Adams.
They shouldn't be doing. The general public is going out and buying masks. It actually does not help. It's not been proven to be effective in preventing spread of coronavirus amongst the general public. Masks do not work for the general public in preventing them from getting coronavirus.
Right. Okay, let's start there then, because you are wearing a mask. You are clearly trying to make a point.
Well, it's important for people to understand that once upon a time we prescribed cigarettes for asthmatics and leeches and cocaine and heroin for people as medical treatments. When we learn better, we do better. And the WHO,
are you saying
the CDC,
at that time you did not know because the CDC in February was looking at asymptomatic?
We were looking at that, but the CDC, the WHO, and even in May there was a New England Journal of Medicine article that still disputed whether or not masks were effective. We've learned more about asymptomatics. Wear a face covering. It helps slow asymptomatic spread. It will help us reopen churches and schools.
I think you have to acknowledge that this mixed messaging has created confusion, and it has drawn into question some of the credibility.
The fog of war. Confusion is the fog of war. And underneath the confusion happens anything you want. You do anything. The end of the world will look like nothing. It won't look like World War II, whoever just typed that in. Bob, there's no reason for there to be World War III because it already happened. You're watching this systematic building of a larger government on either side of the three branches of ours. And this happened in 144 countries. Now, you can call that organic, or you can go with the James Strew mantra. I've been saying this since I started writing. Countries are not what you think they are. Countries are not what you think they are. Countries are not what you think they are. I'm sorry to repeat it, but I've been saying this a long time. And it's not that people can't see it, it's that they cannot afford to see it. Guys, people aren't stupid. You're looking at a prawn economy where 45% of our life force we think we're supposed to give away to the government. And we think that makes us a good person to abandon all of that responsibility and all of that power. We think that makes us good. We've declared a war on every single part of you, including your ego, your immune system, your sense of self, your sense of pride, your sense of even discernment. There's no reason for a World War III. If anything, I think that they're showing mercy on how pathetic most of the population truly is. And I know this sounds judgmental, but I just want you to know how far you've come. You are a genius among the fallen. So many cannot afford to see what you see now. And I realize that a lot of you aren't ready to be on this agreement. And I don't need you to agree with me on anything. But if you were to enact a new world order, if you were going to open the gate and change something dramatically, that a coronal event, a solar event, would allow you enough of a pillage scenario to create a whole new 9/11. One of the biggest things that stops us from understanding 9/11 is the people that want to tell you who did it. This is a fantasy we have. The fantasy is that every single person who decided to join in on the pillage planned it meticulously. And this is the anti-definition of what pillage means. Pillage is an opportunity where when enough outlaws see it, they start to realize they can leverage it together. It does not need a singular organic source. It would certainly help. You could certainly be telling people for a long time, yeah, if you want something to go down, man, 9/11 is the time to go down. What are you talking about? Oh, those cats, they probably have a name, right? The central, the rabbit boys or some shit like that. It's some skull and bones name. We don't fucking know that name. We don't get to know that name. But it sounds like that. Yeah, they got an op going on 9/11. There's some kind of doing a military drill, and so plus I think the Rockefellers are going to take the towers down that day. It's like, oh, but I thought that they didn't pay their bribe off to the Port Authority. Yeah, they didn't. This is what they're going to do. Holy fuck, really? Yeah. Yeah, man. New York's run by fucking hyena. Like, it's like a cesspool. And so this is what they would say to each other. And the Rockefellers got sick of it. They're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're going to take our building down anyway. And we're going to let the bureaucracy just unwind. Because Rockefeller's like, you know what? I can survive this place going under. You can't. You can't. And so they're just gonna knock it down. They're just gonna knock it down. And the towns and the city's saying you can't knock it down. We're like, yeah, we are. We don't need to tell anyone. We don't fucking care. This is my yard, bitch. That's what Rockefeller says. This is my yard. And only for the first time can we kind of see that and go, oh yeah, that's probably what happened. Now you just need to think about that in the world. You just need to think about that in the world. Stop thinking countries are a thing. Stop it. Stop. Guys, this is the 1x4. Do you understand? The bull is a fucking 1,000-pound animal, 1,200 pounds. A 1x4 has 4 nails. 4 nails. He just pushes it with his nose. It's gone. He's free. That's what countries are. That's what countries are. This is some of you are so bullying, you're going to be like, oh, so you don't like, no, this is not about who I like or who I don't like. I just want you to know how this fucking works. Whitney Webb, on top of her game right now. The leading speaker in "We have to save America" or "The Truth" or whatever. And everyone has that voice. I'm not just giving that to her. Rightly complains that Rogan has mentioned my reports many times. I literally wrote a 1,000-page book on what Epstein was actually doing and the networks behind him, but somehow he can platform CIA contractors like Thiel and ask them about Epstein, but not me. And that Whitney's the hero because she's trying to save America, and she's got 4.8 million views, and she's complaining because it's not fucking enough. It's not enough for her. Not only is it not enough for her, she spent 1,000 pages on the Pedo-Submarine. 1,000 pages went into the Pedo-Submarine. People are asking, well, why are you calling it a submarine? Because they literally added a submarine to the story at one point. And when you start to add up what these things have, you start to realize that people like Whitney Webb are unsuspectingly working for the very people that pull this shit off all the time. And one of those people's Thiel. I think the reason why Thiel has his shit together is because he doesn't play in stories like Epstein, because he knows it's bullshit. He's like, why would I play with a pedo submarine? James, how can you call it that? Because every single part of this, guys, you are never, ever, ever going to have more clues than this. The Epstein story has a singular bad guy. There's no gray area. It is absolutely clear there is a bad guy. Boom. Number one. Number two, it has billionaires. This instantly gives you ratings. Instantly. Number three, it has a fucking sex cult. Guys, we're just on 3, and we've already got a sex cult involved. 4, it has stories of pedophilia. Save the children. We have to watch to save the children. Number 5, it has celebrities, good and bad. The people that you love, that you've seen, so it has familiarity. All these, Stephen fucking Hawking is getting a hand job in this place. It has all the icons of government, anyone that has any kind of power at all, anyone who's ever said something nasty to you, they were there. Whether it be Bill Clinton, whether it be Bill Gates. It has all the leaders. It has every titillating nipple clamp you could possibly want. And of course, Whitney Webb is going to write 1,000 pages about it. Do you know why? Because if she does, she will get 4.8 million fucking views and complain because it hasn't been exposed enough. This is the same shit we did with Hollywood. We have to expose Hollywood. What are you going to do? I'm going to post about him 1 million fucking times, and 1 million people are going to agree with me because we're saving the fucking world. Meanwhile, Hollywood and government are the same fucking thing. And all it takes is these little plastic castles that can be placed in the water just to let the fucking goldfish swim around. And people like me are dying on the cross. Seriously. Because I'm pointing out to you some of the most cutting edge, I'm sorry, but seriously, some of the most cutting edge journalism that's being done. And it's not just me. There's no fucking way I can be the only one, guys. There has to be at least 1,000 of me. And we're being throttled down because we're talking about the wrong things. And it's not the machine doing it to us. It is our appetite. Our appetite is the thing that chains us the most. And honestly, I think Thiel's more on our side than Whitney Webb is. Even if he fucking works for the CIA. You know why? Because he's not singing, "We all live in a Pedo-Submarine. A Pedo-Submarine." He's not doing that. He's looking at a fucking world that is melting before his goddamn eyes. And he's like, what can I do? Who do I fucking team up with? Because this is a symbiotic cluster monkey fuck of who's going to be in charge right now. And you're not going to make it if you're not willing to get on a fucking yacht, cut open your thumb, and touch it to a constitution, and then go to jail because you're trying to declare the Himalayas as the new capital of the new world. This is real life shit, guys. Real life stuff. And if you want to play with pedo-submarines, you got no business being in the kitchen. That's who Peter Thiel is. September 2nd, Boeing Starliner Starcraft starts making strange noises. "Oh my God, I don't know what's making it," said one of the astronauts who were carried to space on board troubled spacecraft and now are stuck on the International Space Station. "What are we going to do?" 24 hours later, audit warns costs for NASA's new Artemis launch could balloon to $2.7 billion. What is this? Does this look familiar? Does this look familiar? Does this look familiar? Is anyone covering this? Is anyone telling you how one story is always used to be in front of the other? James, we don't care. Okay, you're great. We're watching you. Okay, you're right. Sorry. It's boring. This is how boring it is. Public Law 108-25, 108th Congress, an act. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives, United States of America, in Congress, assembled, short title, HIV, AIDS, Tuberculosis, Malaria Act of 2003, Table of Contents. The table of contents for this act is as follows. Section 1, short title, table of contents. Section 2, findings. Section 3, definitions. Section 4, purpose. Section 5, authority to consolidate under Administrative Enablement Act of 1398. Oh my God, we all live in a pedo-submarine. A pedo-submarine. A pedo-sub. Which one do you want? Which one do you think that people want? This guy was lobbying for COVID-19 22 years ago, 21 years ago. 21 years ago, this guy knew what was going to happen on 3/22/20. He knew. Absolutely zero pedophile submarines on Fauci. Literally doesn't move in 8 administrations. My eye's ticking because it hurts so much. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. June 19th, 2008. Let's give him an award because he didn't cure AIDS. This is the new government. He's a hero for the New World Order because he created the first NGO that was able to have an international network. Yeah. $28 billion a year in tax revenue. $28 billion. $28 billion. That's why he got the medal. That's why he got the medal. This is a vampire that's able to put the fang inside the neck of America. Remember, everyone wants to lose 40% of their resources. They want that. I don't want you to have these taxes because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And anyone who wants power is clearly wrong. And it feels so good to say that and just phone it the fuck in, man. Just phone it in. February 17th, I already did this. I'm not going to do it again. But literally promising 1 in 3 Americans, man. Our government will grow. We will have a new world order in the veins of 1 in 3 Americans. And how will we do that? We will establish the first mRNA private property. This is how you plant a flag in someone's body. I hope someone's listening to this. Because I actually don't give a lot of time to mRNA because I have a subtle look on vaccines I won't bore you with. But I want you to know that mRNA is... So it used to be just the adjuvant was proprietary property, but that mRNA actually is proprietary property. And that really is the first corporate flag. And right now it won't seem like this, but in generations you will be a Pfizer kid. Just like you, it's so ubiquitous to say, I'm an American. What state do you live in? I'm from Nebraska. You just say it. You don't say, well, I don't associate with any state. I mean, I used to say that sometimes, but most of the time I just quickly, no, I got a North Carolina driver's license or I got a Tennessee driver's license or whatever. And that I know it seems impossible right now, but I'm telling you, in 3 generations, it'll be like, yeah, I'm a Pfizer. I'm Jane Pfizer Manelli, right? Pfizer Manelli. And this sounds hard right now, but this is just the new tribalism. That's all. And you'll find that different corporations are offering different things for different people. And that basically you're going to be on their insurance policy. It's very much like insurance. And the insurance is, say, you're not going to get poisoned by all the shit that's probably going to be required to poison you if you want to enter a smart city. It'll look like that. It'll look like that not because they're evil. It'll look like that because people want that. Guys, stop saying people don't want this. Stop it. I've been telling people about this for 6 years. Some of the most well-written sentences I could ever come up with. I'm above average writer. It's not about, I'm not saying it effectively enough. It's, people want a Pedo-Submarine. And if you can be the first to tell the Pedo-Submarine story, if you're able to commission that story the best, you're going to have 5.6 million hits. And when you finally have that hits, you're not going to look around at a small journalist like me and go, hey, what the fuck is this? I can't believe I missed all this. You're not going to do that. You're going to complain because Joe Rogan will not have you on to talk even more about fucking Epstein. And this is patriotic. This is us winning. This is where we go one, we go all. This is why this is happening. And I would rather us fall in love with our humanity. Because I'll tell you, for years I tried to fight humanity. I thought I can fix this. I can wake people up. It's not that it's futile, although it is. It's worse. You're disrespecting God. The world is not broken. And the people that I'm telling you that I see, they're not broken. This is what nature looks like. And when people have more calories, we will look back at this time and be ashamed. We will. If you are ahead enough a curve, you have the ability to see the shame before it happens. That's really the only skill I have. I can see how embarrassed I am by us before anyone else can. I'm a embarrassment augur. I'm a butt crack augur. I can see the butt crack of society before society is willing to admit that they've got a really big butt crack. And there's not going to be a World War III. There doesn't have to be. We've removed all the people that have that inclination for violence now, and we've humiliated them by having their asses kicked by people in sandals for the last 30 years. Enrollment in the military is down, not up. What we want is good old witch burning, and Epstein has that. Every single sentence that comes out of the Epstein story is salacious. It is emotionally tactile, and that this is exactly what would be required to move the herd. This is not an insult. The American people, the ones who have not come online yet, are a herd. I don't think NPC is the right call because I was one of them. I am not a fucking NPC. Which means all the other people out there that are in herd mentality are also not NPCs. They simply haven't gathered enough calories enough yet to come online. And like I said Wednesday, as soon as they come online, it's just going to be a bunch of fucktards yelling at them about how scared they should be. So it's making it even harder. Because we have to the world's broken, the world's broken. If someone comes online, the first thing you should tell them is the world isn't broken. You should fucking tell them that. You should say, hey, I know that you want to hear about the Pedo-Submarine, about how everything's broken, but my name's James, we just met, and the world is not fucking broken. And you're about to go out and listen to every single person tell you the opposite. And all I can do is drop this one little honeysuckle and say, the world isn't broken. Everyone's going to tell you it isn't because they want 5.6 million hits so they can complain because Joe Rogan isn't covering their 1,000-page book about a pedo-fucking-submarine. And not once in the thousands of pages that are being written about Epstein does anyone stop like I did. Because when I first started writing about Epstein, I stopped halfway through because I said, why is this so fucking salacious? Why is this dripping with maple syrup? Why is it dripping with all of the trappings of every single thing perfect? James, I cannot even write about this because it's something doesn't feel right. Why does this not feel right? Why does this story feel like the perfect yellow pedo-submarine? And the reason why is because that's how they fucking do it. That's how I do it. The CIA called me up, said, James, we saw your videos, dude. You're fucking onto us. We think it's better if we just kind of bring you in with one of us. I'd be like, yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. I think I could help. I think I'm retarded. I get it. I think I'm slow. I'd be the new guy. You guys would be like, oh, fuck, James wants to come to lunch with us again. I'd be like, yeah, but I'm just trying to understand. Can you tell me again about the Falkland Islands? I'm still trying to figure out. And it's like, James, the Falkland Islands are connected to the Hawkland incident. And I'm just like, but I don't understand. It's like, James, you haven't read enough Hebrew. And I'm like, damn it, it's always that. It's always that. God. And the first thing I do is say, we need more Pedo-Submarines. I need people to feel completely ashamed of how obvious this was. We need fake chrome-ass fucking air domes blowing off. We need painted arches. We need a lock that's painted on the fucking thing with a chain. We need a telecom building that probably cost about $3,000 to make, and we're going to call that a satanic fucking temple for pedophiles. Like, I would say, if it's that easy, we can go easier. Hey, how about we stage a fucking laser beam from fucking space that in the middle of DPA, in the middle of revoking every Indian treaty that's ever been put in place for 200 years, let's fucking have a Hawaiian blue laser beam because it's the special at Applebee's this week. And we'll just fucking make that come out of the clouds. And you know what? I'm going to call one guy who has Photoshop. Oh my God, a whopping $60 a month. And we're going to have a picture. And all we have to do is throttle it. That's all we have to do. We'll post it on Twitter and we'll throttle it. We'll use 400 accounts over the next 6 days to go in and thumbs up it and create an algorithm to say, have ChatGPT come in and say, they're out to get us. They're going to kill us all. You're on to something. I fucking love you. Oh my God, we should write a book about this. And that's all it fucking takes. And then someone like me comes in. I've been busting on a story for like 5 weeks. It's just like, guys, I think Steve Bannon's trying to take over the world. And it's just like, yeah. Welcome to America. This is what it takes. And this is why I talk about lies. Because I know what it takes. I've seen what it takes. I still can't do it, but I've seen what it takes. They're making fun of you so bad. We're going to give you a wet dream right after we make you shit your pants. And the entire time while you're shitting your pants having your wet dream about a pedo-submarine, we're going to fucking take it all. We're going to take the whole thing. And you're going to hover around people with deck chairs who talk about 1,000-page books that outline the very center of what caused this all. Because you're going to think you're on top of it. Because it's the new media now. Fucking A. These guys, they can't even hold their own spine. And it still works. It still works. You can see right through them and it still works. It works because you're not looking at the collective with enough compassion yet. You're in denial because you're ashamed. And you're ashamed because these people are supposed to be on your side. They're supposed to be doctors. They're supposed to be lawyers. They're supposed to be cops. They're supposed to be veterans. They're supposed to be nurses that are fucking woke. What happened is you found out they're not yet. You found out that you're inheriting from a world of orphans. The people that are giving you the world never had it to begin with. They're giving you the lies that they've been telling each other so that they can keep giving 40% of their fucking life. 40% of your life force has been put into a mantra called death and taxes. Think about that. This is what people want who are here. They want this. And I know it's so difficult for you to imagine how could anyone want slavery, but you don't know. I think it's your shame because of how far you've come to get away from it that you can't look at how many people still find that. That's the only way they can get by. This is not a flaw. People choosing slavery is not a flaw. The flaw is thinking that it's broken. If you join me in understanding this is perfection and we're just watching the Hermetic ladder, you're going to relax a little bit. The World War III is, if anything, it's a conscious battle. And the only way to win the conscious battle is through awareness. And awareness is going to require compassion, and compassion is going to require you to stop fucking calling the world broken. It's not going to work in Aquarius. It's not. You're just going to see things are just going to get more and more tacky. Sorry, I just went all the way back. Things are just going to look more and more tacky is all. They're just going to get more and more obvious. Like January 6th. When you see that, don't get mad. I want you to realize that this is you just growing taller. That you look at January 6th and you're like, I can't believe that people are doing this. And that this is a good sign. It's a good sign because it shows you. It shows you where you're at. It shows you that we live in an upwardly mobile, hermetic media system. And I hope it shows you that this is the only way it works, guys, because if the CIA calls me, I'd have to tell them, guys, I tried to say the truth and it didn't work. The first thing I'd have to report is, yeah, I fucking told them the truth as hard as I could, and I got 3 hits. I got 3. And one of them, I think he accidentally retweeted it, honestly. Like, I think that's what it was. And the CIA is like, I know, dude. I know. That's why we invent Pedo-Submarines. And when I started to notice that they would do that, I would feel better about where we go, because I would feel that there are people that want to help. I would feel that way. And when I see Wayne Sexton, when I see an inflated plane that's so obviously inflated, and there's a nice cut scene between the plane, and then when the plane's flying off and they've got bodies falling off of it, and I'm like, well, why would they cut why would you cut why are those different videos? Why are those different videos? To me, I think those are the morsels that lead you out of the cave. They're the only thing that lets you see, oh wait, this is a fucking pedo-submarine. So why are we hating that? Why are we hating that? This is, I think, built into the nature of God is that even though deceit is a vital part of nature, deceit ends up showing you the truth. And all you have to do to see it is to not be so freaked out when you see conceit. And I think to not be so freaked out really comes down to just kind of looking around and telling yourself it's not broken. This is just what it takes. Oh, I did it again. I keep hitting this wrong key right when I'm about to show you a slide. But this is the truth. That's all. That's all. That every single person who's ever been in charge of your taxes, I should say, of America, sits in these 2 rows. And they're gone now. They're gone. This is the old world. This is the world that believed in NASA. This is the world that believed in taxes, quite frankly. I think that if we were to truly understand how many people actually pay their taxes, I think it would be astonishingly low. I do. I think that just as if you were to take a poll, how many people don't believe NASA, I think it's astonishingly low. And you're just watching them prop it up with Musk or with the next thing, and they're just putting things more. It's not because they're trying to fool you. It's because they notice you don't want to go away. They're turning the milk as sour as they can, and people are still sucking the teat. They're still sucking on the teat. You know that. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next time on James Drew Live.